everyone, welcome back to the Metalheads podcast, and today is episode 10. Finally, sorry for the delay, but it is the first of a few episodes called Musician Mindsets, where I'm going to be finding some metal musicians, figuring out how they got into metal and what it takes to be a metal musician. Today's guest, I'm very excited, is the one and only Mr. Kieran Scott, vocalist of DeathCollector and Ashen Crown. He's a lovely guy. This has been a long time coming, and I hope you enjoy. So like, share, comment, all that good stuff, and please have a great day. Well, welcome to the Metalheads podcast, Mr. Kieran Scott.
Oh my God, I'm here.
Hello.
It's been a long time coming, right?
It has. I'm a fangirl. I'll put it that way.
Well, I'm a fan of your work too, so it's appreciation time, you know?
Oh, well, that's very sweet. Thank you very much.
It's all right.
So, for the people out there, let's face it, there won't be many who don't know who you are. Give me a little who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, sure. If you haven't seen my memes obnoxiously all over the internet, you probably know one of my band posts. So I'm the vocalist of DeathCollector and Ashen Crown. I've also have a project called Grimort. I'm also a graphic designer, video maker, kind of all-round jack of all trades.
I wouldn't call you a jack of all trades. I think the stuff that you do very well.
Well, I get better and better until I then eventually find another thing to add to the list of stuff.
Well, that's just life, isn't it? Like, grab every opportunity you can.
That's kind of my entire ethos, is just I'm very tenacious. Like I will never give up. I don't care what anyone does and says or thinks. I just keep doing it for me, and I just, after a while, people learn to appreciate that. At first, they're normally like, "Oh, this guy never shuts up," and I'm like, "Yeah," because I'm in this to win it, kind of thing. You know, I'm in it to strive, to succeed, to make my dreams come true. So
Absolutely. And I think that's the only mindset to have, really. It's just to
Well, yeah, I think so.
get on with it.
Yeah, because we're in a very competitive industry.
Mm.
You know, even from your standpoint as a journalist sort of aspect, it's so competitive. So, like, you've got competitive journalism, you've got competitive musicians, competitive personalities. Like, people have their entire personality as their brand. You know, like, we'll use you for a good example. Actually, the death metal mum. You've become synonymous. That's it. You are just renowned. Whenever the conversation comes up, be like, oh yeah, my friend Faye on Twitter, they go, oh, death metal mum, yeah, and I'm like, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I just go, yeah, yeah. But no,
Yeah.
you are becoming quite respected and acknowledged throughout, especially the death metal scene. Like, it's pretty cool.
Oh, well, I appreciate the feedback. Thank you very much.
Of course.
That's awesome. So we'll start off with, how did you get into metal music?
Oh God, it's a good job this is a podcast. So this is fun. So I wasn't really into metal when I was younger. It's not because I didn't like it. It was because I didn't know it. I didn't understand it. It wasn't in my kind of vicinity. So when I was young, about, let's say, about from 7 till about 12 was probably my kind of like formative years musically. But in that point, I had no interest in music at the time. I'd listened to it. So like I grew up with like Meatloaf and things like that, like rock kind of things, a bit of Black Sabbath, it's like Fleetwood Mac, just all that kind of thing. Some goth stuff as well. So like The Cure. My parents were, well, my mum specifically was really into that kind of stuff. So that was my first kind of introduction to music that isn't pop music.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so my first like band I really got into was Gorillaz, of all bands, which is the weirdest one. See, I like the first album I heard it, I went, huh. I mean, like, I've heard music, but I never listened, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I was like, I like this. This is cool. This is
the Gorillaz are great. Yeah.
Yeah, and but not so much now. But like their songs were interesting. They were saying things. They were different. So that caught my interest, and it's kind of started all from there. Oddly, so you can quote me on that. My My death metal journey started at Gorillaz.
Gorillas. But I love their music videos as well. They were doing something much different than everyone else.
And they had a lot of like branding and characters and things. It was very entertaining. So that's how I kind of first like I say, like really started taking notice. I mean, as I said, I had all these influences before, and so it kind of went from there. And then I started like getting into more heavier stuff, and my friends were really into some heavy stuff. And they were like trying to introduce me to it, and I was a bit like, I'm not really sure, you know. And then I got into like the new metal phase, you know what I mean? So
Mm.
and I because I didn't know what anything was, you know, the more niche stuff was more alien at that point. So I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. So like, you know, things like Static X, Slipknot, Korn, you know, the classics. I got into those, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I found Dimmu Borgir, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I like the whole theatrics. And then I got my friend Gojira Terra Incognita for his birthday, because I didn't really know much about Gojira, and he was really into them, and me and my mate were like, "Oh, we'll buy it," and stuff like that. Um, and so we bought it for him, and that's where my world changed. From that album onwards, I went, "I like this,"
Mm.
and then it
Gojira,
just
just class.
I just amazing. Like, that album, Terra Incognita. A lot of people struggle with it, especially like the more kind of protective death metal fans. Gojira Terra Incognita is one of the best death metal records ever released.
I'd
Like,
have to agree with that.
it's so good. Like it's heavy, the guitar tone, it's DIY. I mean, they did it all themselves, like
Mm.
from scratch. You know, so I have so much respect for them. But I have very fond memories of that album specifically because that's when, you know, I'm with my mates, and we're smoking things we shouldn't be smoking, and we're having a good time, and you know, and listening to, you know, Alice in Chains and Gojira, Tool, you know, all the very applicable things for that type of mindset.
Mm.
Then that kind of just started to like explore the different kinds of music. So me and my friends would share, and we'd just expand from there, and it got, you know, and then what was it, we played, it was Guitar Hero, and we discovered at the Gates that I didn't know what At the Gates was really. Like my mate was into him, I was like, I don't know. And then I heard Slaughter of the Soul, and then Blinded by Fear. I was like,
Mind blown.
yeah, literally. I was just
Yeah.
like, how old is this? And they were like, oh, yeah, it's from like years and years ago. I'm like, wow. But
Hmm.
yeah, so, and that's kind of how my journey just kept going further. And then my biggest awakening bands, apart from Gojira, was Cattle Decapitation. It's been around for a long time. And when I discovered Cattle, it was like a light went. I went, I want to do this. I want to do this. Like, I heard Travis's vocal. It was Monolith in Humanity album, and it's dead set on suicide. Now, that song is the heaviest song I've ever. It still is. Like that bit where the guy's hanging himself, like in the song, and you're like, wow.
Like,
And
whoa.
then it just hits in with this heavy, like fucking shredding, like tremoloed section, and just blasting on that one. Oh, ah. So that was that moment. I went, oh yeah, I want to do that. Yeah, I want to do that. And then I started trying to learn. And so again, so this was like I'm 31 now, so this was about 9 years ago. So I got into this quite late, like late compared to most people. And so I was just like, right, well, fuck, I need to do this. Like, how do I do this?
Yeah.
So I was like, so everyone's got mates that are in metalheads, and my mate was Dan. He was playing the guitar in a band called Mad Spanner briefly. He's a good friend of mine.
Mad Spanners.
Mad Spanner, yeah.
What a name.
I will show you Mad Spanner.
Yes, please.
Imagine the most talented musician you've ever seen,
Right.
like ever, and he can play guitar, bass, drums like incredibly well. It's like progressive grindcore. I can't really describe it, but it's punk.
Progressive. Wow.
But it's punk. It's so punk. Everything. It's just like all the songs are kind of silly, somewhat, and then there's like some deep existential like
Hmm.
themes into it. It's phenomenal music, but it's got a new album
Okay.
coming out soon. But I digress. More about me now. Anyway, but yeah, so and then so I said to Dan, I was like, Dan, let's start a band. You know, let's fucking do it. And our first, you have to not judge me, right? So our first band was I come up with a name, so it was Fallacy of Faith. It's not a bad name. It's what it says on the tin. It was kind of black metal-ish with a death metal tinge. So imagine like Cold World, the band, the atmospheric black metal band Cold World,
Yeah.
mixed with Cattle Decapitation. That's kind of what we were trying to do without the ability to do.
Okay. Yeah.
So at the time, I was learning how to do vocals and not knowing what the fuck I was doing, no previous experience, and I didn't really know anybody like in the scene at all. Like I had no contacts. I had no, oh, I know this guy who's in the band. I didn't know anyone. So I started from the ground up, and the only people I knew were kind of in my friend circle at the time were like deathcore musicians
Mm-hmm.
or that kind of thing. So I spoke to one of them. I was like, how do you do vocals? I'm ignorant as shit, sort of thing. And they were like, oh, right, you got to do this, this, and this. Turns out they were wrong completely. Like, oh my God. But the point is that it got me on my journey. So like, they were just like, oh, you
Mm-hmm.
need to do this. And it's like inhales. And I'm like, no, no. And then I realized when it was hurting, I was like, that can't be right. And I started doing some research and then I found Melissa Cross. Is it Melissa Cross? Yes, her name, yeah. And like, the Vocal Institute sort of stuff, and then I started researching that, and then looking at some YouTube videos, and then I started practicing, and I've actually derived my own sound by deliberately not doing what everyone else did. I found a thing that I do comfortably, that sounds, I would say, unique to me. My friends say it to me a lot. They go, I always know it's you because you don't sound like anyone else.
Oh, I would agree with that. Like if I listen to
Yeah.
well, any of your bands, I know it's your vocals, 100%.
Right. So this is what because that's what I kind of wanted. I've worked really, really hard for about 8 years to focus on make sure that my enunciation is correct. Like I am saying the words. I could easily go brutal. I've got the range to do it. It's just it's not me. I need to say it.
That's what I like about your vocal style because it's fucking disgusting in like the best way, and it's evil, but I can hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like
And
90% of the time, I know what you're saying, and that's quite rare with death metal.
To a trained ear. I think.
Well, yeah, to a trained ear, obviously.
Yeah. But like, so this is one thing. I listen to a lot of death metal, and I go, I love it, but I can't understand a word he's saying. And that's one thing that I've started to like more and more about like metal and death metal specifically, is that it's become more focusing on enunciations and clarity and being able to understand what the words are. Because what we've discovered after like 30 years of just disgusting noises, everyone's gone, all right, yeah, but can we have some more substance?
Yeah.
Even Cannibal Corpse, like even the vocal has become more clear. Like he's way more clear than he used to be. Could be production, but better microphones, better audio quality. Anyway, I digress. So, and then I started doing vocals and learning from there. Do a lot of research, and then I crafted my own sound, as I said. So, the sound that I have attained, it's for the technical nerds out there that are listening. So it's a false chord technique, but I use like a bit of fry, and then I lower the guttural at the end of it. So I'll go. So like the technique is a fry. So is a false chord. So that's a very typical vocal style. You'll hear that like most bands do that. So Lamb of God, Ginger, things like that. That's a false chord vocal. But then I just use the low end of the guttural to kind of create the inflection on it. It's weird. It's a hybrid vocal. It's a strange one. Like,
could you give us a tiny little demonstration?
Yeah. So a fry vocal, a false chord vocal is more like that kind of thing, right? It takes no effort. It's just I'm using the false chords at the back there and airflow. There's no work here. So I go from the to the right. So that's where I'm putting the guttural in a bit there, just right at the end of it. So it's got that kind of just gnarly kind of gargliness. And then so with the fry aspects as well, that comes more in the kind of so a fry is like right. So I'm not going to scream down the microphone. You'd be like, what the fuck?
My neighbors were like, what the fuck is she doing?
Yeah, it'd be too loud. But the point is that the fry vocal, because I'm very intimate to the microphone right now. No one wants to hear that. But yeah, so then I utilize that as well. Like put the fry in. So and you probably heard it in the title track, the first thing.
Hmm.
So that's like a yell slash fry with a little false chord in it. So I like to manipulate and hybrid them.
Yeah.
I think that's weird. I think other bands do it as well. Other vocalists do it well, but for doing it on the guttural aspect. So obviously in the Death's Toll album, it's more gutturalic than it would be in Ashen Crown's material. So
Okay.
yeah, so Ashen Crown would be far more false chord and fries, some gutturals when it's relevant.
Talking of your new album,
Yes.
would you like to tell us? I mean, I've heard it. I'm a big fan. You know that already. But for
I
people listening, what's it called? When's it coming out? Where can they get it?
Yeah, so the album is our debut album. And it's called Death's Toll. It will be out on the 23rd of June worldwide, physical and digital, and it's for everybody to enjoy. Um, if anyone wants to support us, we absolutely are grateful for that. But it all helps us and enables us to tour way more easily and go around the world potentially. So no
Please buy
pressure.
their stuff because I want them to come to Denmark.
Yeah, we would love to play Denmark.
Come, it'd be amazing. But yeah, your social media pages. Where can people find you?
Oh, come on. yeah,
I know.
we're everywhere. Literally every I've made sure we're on every platform, be it even TikTok. I know. All
Wow.
right. It's a tool. You got to use it. If you don't use it, you're missing out.
That's true. But yeah,
You have to
Death
sift through a lot
Collector,
of
you're
crap, man.
on the Instagram, Twitter,
Yep,
everything.
everything. You can.
Everything.
Yeah, we have a literal every streaming service, every social media apart from MySpace. Apart from MySpace.
That's old school.
I mean, we could do it on MySpace. I'm much more. That's what I need is more things to do.
You need more social media to manage.
Obviously. But yeah, so you can find us absolutely everywhere. Like everything that you name, we're on there, apart from anything too crazy.
And you guys just got signed to Prosthetic. Congratulations with that, by the way.
Yeah, so that's been a bit of a wild ride. I'm actually allowed to talk about it now. So I've been sitting on that for like 8 months. No, fuck yeah, since like last year.
Yeah.
After the EP. Oh yeah, it's after the EP dropped. But yeah, how that came about is pretty crazy. So you'd think it's some kind of crazy story of just like knowing the right people or some form of nepotistic, inbred metal society stuff.
Mm.
No, it was far more simple. It was thanks to you.
Really?
Yeah, I told you this. Mostly. We'll give you about 80% credit.
Oh,
So,
tell me.
so basically, so their scout at the time, basically, you tagged Prosthetic Records in our post that we put.
I did. That's
You
because I
did.
knew they'd be great. They'd be a good match. That's
Yeah,
why.
yeah. And so they obviously heeded your recommendation, checked us out, listened to the EP, and then offered us the album deal. So
Oh shit, that's amazing.
I've been waiting to tell you this, so I thought I'd save it for this. And so we are very grateful to you for helping us get that exposure. They could have found us another way, but I am fairly confident that was because of you. so
Oh, that's so cool.
so you can feel some pride being known that you've helped us out in a way probably more than most could, and that's why we're specifically very grateful to you for that. If
Oh,
you
I'm
ever
getting a
wondered
little bit
why,
emotional.
yeah, if you ever
I
wondered
love
why you're
that.
getting preferential treatment, it's probably why. It's like we really like you. You're like, they're nice guys. I'm like, no, you really helped us, dude. Like,
I'm like, everyone talks to me. I'm like, they're just super nice. Like, they always respond to me. They always send me stuff. Like, they're super nice people.
yeah, I was waiting for you to figure out why, because I was saying like, do you not remember that post that you tagged them in? Like, but yeah, so honestly, you've got a fair amount of credit for that one. So obviously they like the music, great, but that was probably the best moment for us. It was like they didn't know who we are, we didn't go to them. They just listened to the EP, then emailed us, and then they had a chat with us and found out who's in the band and what and when, and they were like, "Oh shit, like
Yeah,
cool." They're like, "Wow, all right, sweet, yeah." So then they offered us a 3 album deal. So that's yeah, pretty crazy. Like so.
that's
Again,
awesome. I'm smart. I wish people could see how much I'm smiling right now.
yeah, I know. This is why you need to do a video version. We have to
Yeah.
get you back on again for that when that comes a thing. But honestly, like we're very grateful for that. Like it's crazy. I mean, obviously as well, there was many other factors to it. So it's not just the music. The music can be fantastic, but if we don't have the following or the murmuring, the talking, the underground support, I don't think that would have been the case. So they looked at our Spotify, and we had like and streaming accounts and stuff, and they saw we had like a lot of streams, and that was thanks to a lot of PR that I did myself and with my friend Dan from DC Sound Attack. So he helped out with some of the reviews for the EP, and then I went on Promo Town. So I got a lot of experience in that, but I think that was a factor as well, and all the people supporting us as well. Like, so people who were posting about us in various forums and tagging us and stuff, you know, like I'm always grateful for that, because when you're a new band, you have to fight through everyone else, like, and it's difficult. So having people supporting you is pretty crazy, I think. And the amount, I'll tell you what, DeathCollector fans are weird, right? And I appreciate you all, I do, but you are fervent. I was like, I mean, it's pretty good, but like, you guys really like this. Like,
yeah.
And I mean, I get it. I love death metal, and I'm like, yeah, that's good death metal, but I'm critical, right? Because I'm in it. So we don't think it's the best thing ever. We're just like, it's all right. We've got some improvements to do on the next albums and stuff like that. And everyone else is like, it's amazing, I wouldn't change it. And I'm like, I would change everything.
I just think you've already made a style for yourselves. I mean, I remember I reviewed your EP when it came out, and yeah, and you do so much like promotion. I've never seen it's rare that I see a band that were unsigned at that point doing so much of self promotion. Like, I saw you everywhere. Like, you must have been working hard. Yeah, because I saw your stuff everywhere, all over social media. You know, and so it was only a matter of time before someone noticed you.
Well, that's the plan. Is you've got to push yourself above everyone else. You've got to claw your way through.
Be consistent.
Yeah, but the one thing that I am is I'm consistent, and I'm genuine as well. Like, I actually like music. It's why I do this. Now, this is a conversation that will cause some debate. See, in my opinion, my words only, everyone, my opinion is there's two reasons people are in a band or do music generally. One, they do it for the verification of others, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. The other side, which is me, is I do it for my own artistic expression and my love for music. Generally, it's not even it's not relevant just to metal. It's anything. So again, that's just me, guys. I mean,
Disclaimer.
Everyone's got their own reasons, but like, I find that's the fundamental reason, is that you want to be seen and heard, or you just want to express yourself, or both sometimes.
So what kind of person do you think it takes to be a metal musician specifically?
I think it's got to be, see, it's difficult because you can make it in many aspects in different ways in regards to make it, you know what I mean? Like, get notice and notoriety. You can do it through memes, which I did with Ashen Crown, which was a bad idea because it's all you're remembered for.
You do make amazing memes. I just want to say that.
I've had to stop making them because I was just the meme guy, and I get it. It's funny, and you know, own what you do. But the same point is that when I can't be like in a serious death metal band with one of the legends of death metal, and be stilly and memey, it won't work. It'll just be strange. People are like, what is this band? Like, you know what I mean? So I had to be like, right, I'm going to take myself seriously, and I'm going to take the band more seriously. It's not like I don't take Ashen Crown seriously. It's just too late.
Yeah, that ship has sailed.
Yeah, it's just like, oh. So we are clawing away some, you know, respectfully over time, but it made people not take it seriously. So I've learned that that's one way you can do it, but there is a double-edged sword to it. To be a musician, I think it takes tenacity at the mostly. You've got to be tenacious. I think I'm the most tenacious person I've ever met. There's more people. There is, you know, like Devin Townsend, incredibly tenacious, like musician. He never stops, and I relate to that. I'm that kind of must do the work. Why do I do it? Because I love it. So I find if you love it and you're tenacious and you are not and you don't fear ridicule and you don't fear rejection, I think that is key elements being in the metal specifically. Because metal is anti-establishment by nature. It's anti, you know, it's
rebellious.
I wouldn't say counterculture because metal's kind of mainstream now, I suppose, in some form. But
some of it is.
You know, to this day now, people are still just like, oh, metal, oh, this is scary. Oh, it's like, what?
Yeah, I can't understand what they're saying.
I'm pretty
Well,
sure
don't
I've
listen
never
then.
heard about metalheads stabbing each other, but okay, cool. It's
Exactly.
well, Varg Vikernes, but it's one of these things. It's like it's not a thing, and we're actually quite pleasant most of the time. Like apart from when we're arguing about subgenres, like we tend to be nice people overall because I think, again, this is my words, I think metalheads are usually nicer because they've suffered, right? And I think anyone who goes through suffering has two fundamental choices. Now, this has a political aspect to it, but I'll get to that in a second. And the two fundamental choices is that you try to stop anyone else experiencing that suffering, or you project that suffering upon others because you want them to feel exactly how you felt, because
Hmm.
that somehow that validates gives validity to your experience. See, I think that, and then you combine that with left and right wing mentality, and now you can pretty much put together which one I'm talking about.
Hmm.
So what I find is that most metalheads tend to be very emotionally caring or guarded or traumatized, I've discovered. And
Yeah, I would
because
agree
of
with
that,
that.
yeah, and because of that, normal music doesn't relate to us. It
Yeah.
doesn't resonate. We need something that is visceral, emotional, moving, speaks to the primal aspects of our humanity and doesn't dumb us down in this kind of lull of 4/4 basic beat over and over again. Those things are nice, but they
Yeah,
don't speak to you. You know,
exactly. But how do you, as a metal vocalist, convey emotion when you perform?
mostly I'll say live. I'd say in that regard, it would be I am very I don't have a persona. So whatever I do and act and perform on stage is just literally who I am. There's no like, I'm on stage, Kieran, and this is off stage, Kieran. I'm just as goofy on stage as I am off it.
Hmm.
Which is double-edged sword sometimes because it's like, a lot of people care about stagecraft where I couldn't give a shit. Like, as long as they sound good, I don't care. If you go see Alice Cooper and it's boring, then that's different. But if it's a death metal band, I don't care if they're like really interesting and got very quirky things to say. I just play the riffs, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, it's one of those things like people go to shows for different reasons. Like, so you'd go to see Combi Christ, right? Good example. Combi Christ are an industrial EBM
Mm.
band from like back in the day that's still going now. They're fucking still great. Um, and like one of the best frontman ever is Andy, the vocalist. Brilliant frontman. Like he's still 20 years later, he's still just as humble, just as nice, just as intense. He's state owns the stage, and that's impressive, very impressive. Because his vocal is good, but it's what it is. So he makes up for his very one-dimensional vocal, which is fine, with his presence and moving around stage and interacting with people and
Mhm.
and he's very captivating. And then you've got bands that just like who just stand there, right? Who are equally just as good,
Mhm.
like you know what I mean, but in a different way. So
I would say Undeath is a bit like that. I went to see
Undeath,
them in
are they
London.
are they quite still?
They're still, but I mean, Alex,
Mm.
he moves around the stage and he's up in the crowd and stuff, but they're not a visual band in any way.
No,
Like
I
they're just
suppose,
there
yeah,
with their
yeah,
instruments. It's death metal, and he's smiling. He's like the smiliest metal guy I've ever seen.
yeah.
They just put out these like really happy vibes.
Which is kind of juxtaposition, I suppose. You've got Undeath with that brutal logo, and all their albums are like
Yeah.
brutal, and
And
their
and
sound
he's
is just
singing about like
yeah.
all this nasty shit, and then he's up on stage like it's
That's the problem I've got as well. Like, see, we play live with DeathCollector soon. I'll talk about that in a bit. But I'm just gonna be like, oh, how you doing, guys? Fist bumping people. I'm terrible
that's
for
so
it.
nice.
It's nice, but you kind of people want to come to see death metal to like, not
But your vocals do that. Like
yeah, I
the
suppose as long
vocals do it, and
yeah.
then in between songs, if you're just a nice person, it makes us feel a bit more relaxed as well. If you're
I
not
suppose
some like without
yeah.
thinking you're like some
Oh God,
aggressive
yeah.
psychopath. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't want to be standoffish with the crowd, like
Yeah, because
do a
like
Glenn
we paid
Benton,
money to be here. Like, don't be a dick.
Yeah, I mean, because like Glenn Benton from Deicide, he's got this reputation for being like a standoff with the crowd, and
Mm,
people come to see that because they find it fun. But
yeah, I
they
guess
don't
some
really.
people like that.
He still means it though, so it's like, why are you supporting that? Like,
Yeah,
it's funny.
he hates you.
Fuck off, die. But then I think that's kind of what the spirit of being a metal musician is. It's what you get out of it, what you want from it, isn't it?
Mm.
So in regards to your earlier question, we got a bit sidetracked, but yeah, so it's I would say like tenacity, and not being afraid of criticism, not being afraid of rejection and things like that, because I think that's fundamental. You've got to obnoxiously push your shit out. You have to, unless you like have got a lot of money and have to skip that part, which I've not had the privilege to do that yet. So if you've got like 10 grand sitting in your fucking bank, you don't have to do all that, and you could just skip the queue, which is what I call it, queue jumping, which is where you don't work from the ground up. You just go whoop.
Yeah.
So with Death Collector, and with the conversation we all had together, was we want to start from the bottom, do it ourselves, see where we go after there. And I'm glad we did that. We could have easily pulled every favor out the fucking book between all of us, like the connections we've got. So we said, let's do an EP, do it all ourselves, see how well it's received, and then see what our options are. Maybe do a bit of shopping. We were actually planning on doing the next album ourselves, and then potentially, hopefully, getting like label representation. But you sorted that, didn't you? So you're just like, fuck these guys. I was like, oh,
I
thanks, man.
am totally going to take credit for that, by the way.
You can,
If
yeah.
anyone asks,
You could. Anyone asks, yeah, tell them. Be like,
I'll be like, ask Kieran. He said it.
it's because of me.
Thanks.
but yeah, so it's one of those things. But being a metal musician in these days has become strange, I think, because imagine you are 14, 15-year-old, and you're watching all of these bands. So you got Sleep Token, Behemoth, Watain, Mayhem, who's still going as well. All these legendary names, Emperor. You got fucking Lorna Shore, all these big bands, huge influential, massively influential, massive. How intimidating is that? For like, imagine like picking a kind of like lane, because you can't listen to all of it. Well, I can, but because I'm crazy, and apparently I just don't like to have fun. Like some people just pick their lane and stick to it because there's so much and it's overwhelming. It's so overwhelming. And like, so things that are more digestible and accessible, like say more like the deathcore genre and stuff, nothing wrong with it. It's just more digestible. It's more understandably good. It's good. It's equally good, but more digestibly.
Yeah.
So like you'd listen to Bloodbath, like their latest album was amazing. Some people were like, it's boring. And I just think that's mad, because I listened to it when I think it sounded great. What? Obituary's new album, Obituary, sounded fantastic to me. I loved it. Why? Because it was simple, it was straight to the point, it was groovy, it was very uniquely Obituary, and I liked that. But imagine you were a new person, 14 years old, listening to Obituary for the first time. You'd go, what is this? But then experienced metalhead listen to it and just be like, oh, boring, mid.
My friend has a teenager who's been getting into metal, and their first metal band was Lorna Shore. Imagine that impact, because they're like, I struggle to listen to them, if I'm honest. Like, they're super talented, but it's just, for my brain, it's too much. I can't listen to a whole album. So imagine that being your first experience of metal, and then listening to all these other metal genres. That must be like, oh, yawn.
Yeah, because it's again, I'm gonna get shit for this. This is the thing with deathcore, is I find it to be like the Marvel of metal. Like, it's really well made, it's very well presented, it sounds good, but it lacks depth.
Yeah, like you said, there's nothing wrong with the genre. Like, it's good and they're talented and all that, but I just personally, I like some deathcore stuff, but Lorna Shore specifically doesn't do much for me.
But again, it's more of like if you've never heard anything like that before, it'd blow your brain out. But the thing is, I've been listening to, like so many bands for so long, I'll go, yeah, they just sound like Infinite Annihilator, but not as good. That's every time I hear them, I go, it's poor man's Infinite Annihilator, but slower and simpler. And that's how it is to me. I kind of see the comparison. I did like Lorna Shore's last album they released. I thought it was good. I think elements of it I really liked. I liked the symphonic elements that were throwing in. They didn't go all in on it, though. That's the problem, is that I find when you add something to your mix, you kind of have to embody it. So, for example, a deathcore example, Mental Cruelty. Their new songs they've released, I'm not sure if you've heard it, it's just black metal with a deathcore breakdown. And I'm like, why this is phenomenal. Like it's so heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine you've got stunning, like really well orchestrated black metal that the elitists will hate it, or God, black metal elitists will hate it, but it sounds just as good as anything Emperor has ever done. Sorry.
Well,
I,
I'm intrigued.
exactly. And I listened to it and I went, oh, this is good. And then when that breakdown hit in, it was 10 times more effective because they went all in on that sound. And they did it properly. Like they listened to it, they researched it, they know it, or they like it themselves already. And then they went, no, let's not pander to what everyone else is doing. Let's just do the actual black metal. And that's, in my opinion, it shows a level of understanding and depth, which then leveled up that music for me.
So now, I would like to play a little game with you.
Oh God, I'm scared. I'm scared.
No, your response is meant to be, yay!
Yeah.
Okay, so I play this with all my guests, and it's called Gift or Curse. So I'm going to name 5 things. We'll do it one at a time. And you have to decide whether those things are a gift for the world or a curse upon the world.
Okay.
Okay?
This is unique.
Yeah. Like me. It's
Yeah, fair point. No.
So, we'll start off easy. Number 1, Uber. Gift or curse?
Gift.
I would agree with that. I'm an avid Uber user.
Uber took the power out of like kind of money grubbing hungry companies and brought it to the people, powered by the people. It's actually communism manifest in a way. It also shows that we could actually work within ourselves without any governing bodies structuring rules. The more you know.
So Uber, a gift.
Yeah, I'd say so. Look at what changed since Uber started. Prices for taxis went down.
That's true. So number 2, something quite controversial on the internet, and Mr. Daz shall perish. Oh, the debates I've had with him about this.
Okay.
Pineapple on pizza. Yes or no, gift or curse?
See, I feel like if I answer this, I'm going to cause a riot.
You will, because if you don't match what I think, like we're shutting this down right now. Like I'm just
Okay, right. So, as a person that's been to Italy and America, right, who's eaten pizza in both of those places, I have had pineapple on pizza. It's fine. Like I don't hate it. I went, yeah, it's all right, because you can actually get pizzas that have various things on them that are not what we would call traditional. What we call traditional are actually stereotyped by the media. See, dessert pizza is normal. So if you can have a dessert pizza, you surely can have fruit pizza, right? So let's be realist here. But if I had to make a decision, I think it's probably Satan and should be abolished.
I would agree with that. The phrase dessert pizza.
I can play devil's advocate, I still wouldn't ever eat it on a pizza, but it's worse things like
the phrase dessert pizza makes me want to vomit. If you put anything remotely sweet, I'm talking fruit, anything on my pizza, I will throw it in your fucking face.
What about barbecue sauce?
Oh, I do like barbecue sauce. It has to be.
It's fruity and sweet.
If it's not fruit and it's not sweet.
It is actually made with fruit and it has actually got sugar in it.
Oh, you're fucking up everything. Now I can't have barbecue sauce on a pizza.
Fruit. Tomatoes are fruit, don't forget.
But no, just no. And Daz, we had this discussion with him, and then he sent me the next day. He'd been to Domino's and he'd ordered a double pineapple pizza, and he sent me a picture of it. And I was like, "You fucking animal!"
That level of petty, I appreciate that.
And he posted it on Twitter as well. I was like, "Oh,
that's respect. I respect that."
So, number 3, package holidays, gift or curse?
Okay, so I'm going to be devil's advocate again here. I think a package holiday can be really good for people with disabilities. See, imagine if you had visual impairments, of anxiety, PTSD, things like that. Everything's been taken care of, kind of thing. So there is an element of that I can acknowledge. It's quite accessible. So there is that. Other side of that, you don't actually experience the real side of that country that you're traveling to. That's because, as I said, I've been to France, Italy, America. Where else have I been? Whatever, that'll do for now. And I went on my own. Never been before. I went to America when I was 16 by myself.
Wow.
I saved up some money from a job and I thought, I want to go to America. I wish I went when I was older. Lesson learned. But when I was there, Michael Jackson died. That is a coincidence.
It was you.
It was a coincidence. But it's kind of mad. It's like, they would say, like, oh, where were you when MJ died? I was like, I was in America. But yeah, so I would say, yeah, like, so package holidays can be accessible, and I think that can be a good thing, you know, because not every country is very disabled aware, you know, or has the infrastructure. Like you go to a UK, there's a lot of like disability awareness and lifts, ramps, things like that. In America, somewhat, you know, and Italy, none. Like,
See, as someone with kids, package holidays sound very good because I don't have to worry about anything. It's like it's all done.
exactly.
All I have to worry about is keeping my children alive. Everything else
Yeah.
done. If I was traveling on my own, I'd rather go and like explore.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Number 4, true crime documentaries. Gift or curse?
Okay, so I think they're good to learn, like, kind of like if they're truthful or not, and then there's no exaggerations or embellishments put on them. You know, looking at you, the Nightcrawler, the Night Stalker. Yeah, it was Night Stalker, Dharma. Those things they just fetishized them.
Yeah.
And they made them into be these ideal people, and you know, they made it in a way like, oh, you agree if you agree with them, yeah, right. And like, no, I don't agree fundamentally with these fucking people. Yes, they can say things that are correct. Doesn't mean they're right.
The worst thing is when I saw people dressing their kids up as him for Halloween.
Yeah, right. Now, I love a dark joke. We do. We have our dark jokes. We like our dark jokes.
We do.
But
that's a step too far.
But it's just ignorant. You're being deliberately, willfully ignorant. You are ignoring a serious thing and making light of it. Now, making light of things can be fine, but you need to give it the respect it fucking deserves. Like, you need to respect what it is and don't try to pretend it's anything other than just absolutely horror. You know, like...
I agree.
Abject horror.
So, the last thing on my list is a recurring one that I've asked all of my guests, including the Bangers and Mosh guys. They were the guests on my first ever episode.
Okay.
And my mum, who's also been a guest on this. Flavored condoms, gift or curse?
That's so random. That is so random. Okay.
You're welcome.
What about a pineapple flavored
fruit on condoms? Yes. On my pizza?
Right. So
fuck off.
We can have condoms with fruit on them, not on them, but you know what I mean, embedded in them. So, I was like, I've just put a strawberry on the end of it for you. It's a little treat.
Oh, the images. Oh boy.
It's a banana. It's a pear. But yeah, like okay. So not everyone likes oral. That's a reality. Most women pretend to like it because they think men like it. Honestly, well, I can't speak for women, but that's from my experience. Like, most women don't tend just to.
Fair enough.
Like, yeah, it makes him happy. I couldn't care, you know, sort of thing. Some women love it because they're goblins, and that's fine. But you know, I could see that it would make it more pleasant because, you know, they don't taste very nice.
Yeah, I get that point, and that is a fair point. But I just think, as a 31-year-old woman, if a guy pulls out like a strawberry flavored condom, I'm gonna be like,
you look at them. Wait. So no. So we're not talking about what they were intended for. We're talking about like a general use condom. So someone that goes, they've hooked up with someone. They whipped out a, I don't know, juniper berry. Fucking, you know,
exactly.
You look and go, really?
Yeah, I'd be like, how old are you?
And out of all the ones you chose, you went for the sexual education condom.
Yeah.
I'll get my coat.
Yeah.
I'll get my coat.
Goodbye.
That's weird. I do think flavored condoms are weird generally because I feel like who are they appealing to? Like,
yeah, the weirdest one I've seen is bacon flavored ones.
I mean, I get that. I understand that. You know, you're mid-sesh, but you fancy the reminiscence of bacon, and you're not getting it from your current intimate partner. And everyone mostly likes bacon unless you're vegetarian or vegan. But even then, bacon flavored things are still good. I get it. You know, like if you ever eaten food during sex before, everyone has. How good does that? You're so satisfied with yourself, like you're just like, this is great. I can multitask.
Never bacon though.
Never bacon, but it could be. This could be. But if you have a bacon flavored condom, you can, I suppose you can't eat it, can you? I suppose. That
I
can
just
you
think
imagine? Can you imagine you just pull it off and just start chewing on it, and they're like,
the look on their face.
like, what would you rather me do it while it's on? Like, what do you want here? Like, fancy bacon.
Oh,
I was hungry
that's
for
amazing.
bacon.
No, I think the worst one I've seen are Tabasco. They make condoms.
Why?
Exactly.
Okay, I've right. So as a man, I'm not sure if you've ever done this, but I've ended up accidentally out of habitual kind of conditioning, touching my penis in some form or another after handling chilies,
Ouch.
Scotch bonnets, things like that. You know, really hot, fairly hot chilies, and you know the original source shower gel mint one that everybody's notoriously experienced at some point
Mm-hmm.
times thousand
Okay.
times 1,000 that.
See,
So why would you want to deliberately do that to yourself? Like, well, it wouldn't be that bad, but Tabasco's quite hot.
I
I
don't
suppose
know.
that's crazy. That's some
I don't
crazy
know.
stuff.
And that original source mint shit, I know. I used to. I love that shit. I know.
It's
Yeah.
great. It's fantastic. You
But
feel
I don't know if you know
revitalized.
this, but I do not have a penis, so I've never experienced that. But I have heard from other penis owners that
Well,
that is not a
women
fun experience.
women can experience the same thing. They've just got to deliberately do it themselves.
Yeah, and I have, funnily enough, never done that.
But yes, I think most of the women that I know have experienced that have literally screamed and just like so. Yeah, yeah.
Nah.
Well, that was an interesting conversation.
That's why I put that question in there because it makes it
I
makes people go, "What?"
well, I can talk about anything, anything. Like, and you know, I've all got an opinion on everything apparently.
Well, that's good. You're a great guest to have because you talk.
I
The
hope so.
worst is people who don't talk, and it's like getting blood out of a stone.
Oh, you just have to give me hello.
Hi, Kieran.
Like, hi, I've been great today. You know what I did? I'm like, I'm gone. Literally every interview I've ever had, all the people that have interviewed me, if any of them are listening to this, will confirm it. They literally just have to give me one topic and I'm gone. Especially after a gig. If it's a post-gig interview, my adrenaline, I'm just.
Mm.
So this is me, calm.
Well, this has been great. So when you come into Denmark, I want dates and times.
See, Denmark. So what we want to do is do kind of like a Scandi tour. You know, not
Oh,
Denmark
fuck yeah.
technically isn't Scandinavia, but I know that. But still, I kind of want to come around that area and go to see if we can do that because we've got European like merch distribution now, as you know. So we would be able to get our stuff printed there,
Hmm.
and rather than Brexit taxing absolutely everything when we go
Yeah.
over there, which is a huge like back pull. It's like, ugh. So ideally, we'd like to hit Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Norway. Just do boop, 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 you know, just kind of hit all those areas. Maybe hit Germany on the way back down and France. Who knows? But ideally, in an ideal world. So with Denmark, I think definitely on the table. I think Denmark, Finland, that'd be sick. I'd absolutely love that. Like I've got some friends in Finland as well, so oh, it'd be amazing. But if we do, it'll be next year, hopefully. Hopefully. Like this year, we have a couple of gigs planned, but they'll be in the UK, and they're our debut shows, which is very cool.
Oh, very exciting.
One of them is booked in with a band that you like very much as well. So can't say.
Well, now you have to tell me.
Can't no. It's secret. It's not
You
announced
DM
yet.
me and we're done, and you tell me.
I could tell you. Yeah, yeah.
Great, awesome.
But yeah,
Well, I will wrap things up. Thank you so much for being
it's
my guest
okay.
today.
Thanks for having me on. This has been great. I want to do more kind of podcasty stuff. I love talking about stuff.
Hmm. Well,
It's
you
fun.
should just tweet, and people will come running.
Hey, bangers and mosh. That's what I should be on next, I think. Yes.
Yes, I will DM Jimmy. You DM Jimmy and be like,
Yeah,
"Oi."
I can. To be fair, I was waiting for him to message me, and be like, right, I've heard the album. Let's talk about it, sort of thing.
I will prod him. and be like, oi,
Oi,
oi.
just you just become our manager.
I'll do that. I'll quit my job and everything.
But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, honestly, thank you for having me. It's been great. I've enjoyed this.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a laugh. Yeah, thank you very
I'll
much.
see you soon.